Since the dawn of civilization, the strongest nations of the world have been measured by their merchant fleets, not by their navies. Today, few people understand the importance of merchant ships. We all think of ships as navy. But that is only half of the story. From the ancient Phoenician traders to the empires of Spain, France, and England, and centuries later in America, it is the flag merchant fleets that carried the commerce that built these great nations. Protected by Navy ships. For centuries, at peace or at war, sea power has always meant a strong merchant marine, protected by a strong navy. Somehow, America has forgotten this fact. However, years ago, it was another story.
Northwards to the Arctic Circle rides the convoy and escort bound for ports in northern Russia. Over 2,000 miles of dangerous waters, traversing the hard route that leads to Murmansk and Archangel.
Hey, look! I think they're on our side.
Famous last words.
No, they're ours, all right. Russian planes off the starboard quarter!
Мы обнаружили американский фрейтер. Liberty Ship.
Traffic, Unit 31, Jeremiah O'Brien.
On October 6th, 1979, at the National Defense Reserve Fleet in Suisun Bay, California, a group of volunteers was able to steam up and sail the last surviving Liberty ship out of the fleet under her own power after being out of commission for over 33 years. This Liberty ship is the last of a fleet of 2,751 Liberty ships that were built during World War II.
They steamed the ship into the fleet as an operating ship in 1946, and they shut her down there in the fleet. That after about 13 years with no care or preservation of any kind, we were able to activate the ship in the fleet with volunteer labor, steam it up, and run it down the bay very successfully, and bring it from Suisun Bay Reserve Fleet to Bethlehem Shipyard, where she was dry docked and rehabilitation work started.
In 1978, the Liberty ship SS Jeremiah O'Brien was declared a National Historic Landmark and placed on the National Register. In the same year, the National Liberty Ship Memorial was formed to conduct the restoration, preservation, and presentation to the public. She spent nearly 8 months in the shipyard, where her hull was sandblasted to bare metal and a coat of inorganic zinc was applied, and finally 2 coats of gray paint to the top sides and a black anti-fouling below the waterline. She was removed from the dry dock and work on the deck began. While the shipyard workers handled the outside of the ship, many volunteers donated thousands of hours to strip the interior steel to bare metal with needle guns, and then painstakingly red lead and repaint all the interior surfaces. This ship was named after Jeremiah O'Brien, who in 1775 commanded the first vessel in our nation's history to engage in combat with the British during the Revolutionary War.
Through all the years after the American Revolution, your government reiterated and maintained the right of American ships to voyage hither and yon without hindrance from those who sought to keep them off the seas or drive them off the sea.
By the end of 1939, in just 4 months of warfare, German submarines had sunk 114 Allied merchant ships.
The ultimate result was very simple. Say, hey, the Germans are sinking ships faster than we're building them. We, Americans, are building them, and we're in it.
These Nazi submarines and raiders are the rattlesnakes of the Atlantic. They're a menace to the free pathways of the high seas. They are a challenge to our sovereignty. They hammer our most precious rights when they attack ships of the American flag, symbols of our independence, our freedom, and our very life.
Now, Navy protects. Navy fights as an offensive weapon. But you got to think about all the stuff that's needed to operate anywhere in the world, to do anything, whether it's running airplanes or small craft or a whole Navy or a section of the Navy. And that means supplies. Everything had to be hauled in by ship. The Navy didn't haul that stuff in. The Merchant Marine brought it in. The potatoes, and the bullets, and the bombs, all that stuff had to be hauled.
How'd you ever happen to join the Merchant Marine?
That's what I wanted to do even when I was a kid. I guess I've read everything written about ships. Dana, Conrad, Marriott, Melville.
I never got around to reading that stuff. I've been too busy doing it.
Seems to me like the toughest, most important job anybody can do, both for now and after the war.
You're right, son. There's no job bigger than this. Let me tell you something. No matter how many planes and tanks and guns you pile up, no matter how many men you got, doesn't mean a thing unless the men get the stuff when they need it. It's your job and my job to see that they get it.
J. Kaiser, the miracle shipbuilder, shows how his yards launch Liberty ships in record time. This 81-piece model of the 10,000-ton ship is put together in 7 minutes. And with the launching of the Robert E. Perry, Kaiser's men send a prefabricated ship down the waves in 4 days, 15 and a half hours. As she hits the water, the ship is 90% completed, and in a couple of days, less than a week after her keel was laid, she'll be ready for service.
Working in the shipyards was an incredible opportunity to make a contribution to society, specifically the war effort at that time. In my mind, it was sort of the beginning of the women's movement in the sense that women proved that they were totally able to do a man's job and that sex was not a factor in their being able to be riveters or welders or whatever. And it certainly opened up the whole subject, the whole possibility for future generations of young women.
Gonna take a sentimental journey to renew old memories. Got my pack and got my reservation. Spent each dime I could afford, like a child in wild anticipation. Long to hear that all aboard.
That, my friend, is the Liberty ship.
Franklin Roosevelt referred to as a bridge of ships. They carried our fighting men and their supplies to the far corners of the war-ravaged world. They were aptly named Liberty ships because though their primary purpose was to bring warriors and the tools of war to where they were needed, their ultimate goal was to bring liberty to people writhing under the grip of dictatorship. This trip of the Jeremiah should be a reminder to us that our national purpose has always been justice and liberty for all. We here in the United States enjoy it so much and have enjoyed it for so long that we sometimes forget that it was bought and has been maintained at a high price. That price for liberty, for ourselves and for others, has been paid in the currency of life, the lives of our countrymen. A large part of that price was paid in full by our gallant merchant seamen. They deserve our remembrance and our gratitude. They brought not just liberty ships to the troubled corners of the world, but they helped to bring liberty itself. And so today, in this brief ceremony, we honor their memory and express our gratitude to them for the sacrifices they made to keep our nation free.